Welcome everyone, it's Gray Shirt Guy, rocking the gray shirt as always. It is the winter season, and that means Space Wolves. And that's what we got on the table here. So I just finished assembling the last model in this army, probably about 20-30 minutes ago. And we're throwing on the showcase. It's 23rd of December, and this will be your studio update for the week. And as I mentioned in the previous video, we'll be highlighting the Space Wolves. So we have two battalions here. And very drop pod, a lot of teleport heavy, and a little bit of walking on the battlefield. I'm not sure if I'm going to teleport everything, but I have the option to teleport quite a few things. And the inspiration for this army was an old drop pod Space Wolf army that I'd seen a long time ago when I first started playing, back when I was just a wee lad playing with Tau because I didn't know what else was out there. And yeah, I remember seeing pictures of it and really thinking, man, if I ever do a Space Wolf army, I definitely want to do a drop pod army. Now, if I would have thought a little closer about this, you may have seen on my channel, I have a drop pod Salamanders / Raptors army, and I kind of wish I would have went with Rhinos instead of drop pods. Not because of the cost, but just because drop pods were just not nearly as fun to assemble, and I thought I had a whole bunch of Rhinos. But I only have one Loyalist Rhino, which is my Blood Angels Rhino, and I have 3 Chaos Rhinos. So I have way more drop pods in my collection than Rhinos. So maybe I need to throw in some Rhinos. But then again, I don't have another Space Marine army that is Firstborn planned. I might maybe in the distant future I might do another Space Marine army that would use Rhinos. But at this current course, I probably could get some Rhinos for my Sisters of Battle. But either way, I digress. So instead of Rhinos, we got drop pods. All right, so let's kind of go from left to right here. So on the far left, and let me see if I can just pan the camera over. Try to do some zooming in action here. All right. So on the far bottom left, I'm not sure how focused it is on my little screen here, we have a Relic Terminator squad. Now this is actually leftovers because I had a full 10-man Relic Terminator squad planned for my Raptors army, but the point changes kind of forced. I had to take 5 of the points out, or 5 of the models out of that army, and I hadn't built this list yet, and I was like, what am I gonna do with these 5 models? And I was like, well, if I build Space Wolves, I can just throw them in the Space Wolf army. And so these were kind of leftovers, because normally if you have a Relic Terminator squad, you would want to do something along the lines of giving the sergeant like a Volkite or the Plasma Blaster, but instead this is what we're working with. So we have an auto cannon, and he's got a grenade harness on top of his head. We got 3 with what are they? Not storm. Yes, no, they're not Kami bolters. That's chaos. They're storm bolters, and they all have power. And then the 3 have all 4 of them have the power. No, not power fist. Chain fist. So the Chain Fist, and then we have one of the Terminators with double Lightning Claws. It's just kind of a mix mash of Relic Terminators, and I think they're going to look all right as Space Wolves. I think they're going to look pretty good. And then right next to them, we have a 5-man unit of close combat Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shield, and I think those guys are going to bring the heat. Right behind them, we have one of our 2 10-man squads of Blood Claws. In the 10-man squad of Blood Claws, we have 1 plasma gun, and the sergeant has a power fist, but everyone else has bolt gun and chain sword, Stardust chain sword. And then behind that, obviously, we have 3 drop pods, and for all 3 of our squads. We have right immediately behind that, we have a 10-man squad of Gray Hunters. Sergeant's got a power fist, and then there's a plasma gun there, but everybody else, and including the sergeant, has bolt guns. And so all the other models in the squad are just normal bolt gun, bolt pistol equipped with their frag and crack grenades. And I did use a few bits from intercessor bits I had left lying around, and then some assault intercessors and regular intercessors. I tossed some bits in there just because I wanted to look a little bit different, because the current Space Wolf Firstborn kits, there's a lot of duplicate backpacks. There's a lot of duplicate kind of poses. And so I want to throw in a little bit of extra flair. So that's why you may see a little different bits on those. Hopefully everything is in focus. I mean, if not, I'll have to come back and reshoot this and you won't know. All right. So but then we got to the right of it, we just have another carbon copy Blood Claws squad. Now all the heads have been removed for most, not all of them, but most of the heads have been removed from the models and put on cork so I can paint them a lot easier on a little paper clip. And but yeah, so let's move on over to the right. Now this is part of a separate patrol detachment, and what we got here is pretty nifty. This is the first time for me assembling these models, and we have a Ragnar Blackmane. He's crossed the Rubicon, so this little detachment is Primaris only. And we have two 5-man squads of assault intercessors, and the sergeant on both squads has a thunderhammer, but everybody else has just the normal Astartes chainsword and heavy bolt pistol. And then right below it, we have a 3-man squad of aggressors with their bolt, their like Fragstorm. Is it Fragstorm bolt launch? No. I forget what they call it, but it's the bolt guns. And that was the recommendation. And one of them is missing. So Ragnar's missing his head, and one of them is missing her head. Just because I wanted to paint the sergeants a little bit different, and I want to make it easier for painting the heads. So let's zoom in back over here one last time, kind of get close on these little 4 models right here. We'll talk about these in a little bit more detail. So on the bottom left, we have Arjack Rockfist, I believe is his name. Apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I'm not a Space Wolf. And then right next to him, we have Crom Dragongaze. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to have Ragnar as the warlord for the army or if Crom's going to be the warlord. I don't think it really matters on a huge scale, but we'll play it maybe back and forth. Maybe Ragnar will take the charge one time, and maybe Crom will take the charge, or maybe Arjax might take the charge. We'll sort it out. Now, right behind them, we have 2 Sergeant Castius models that have been converted into company veterans. Yes, company veterans. So regular company veterans who follow under the normal Space Marine rules, where if you have a captain, you could take some company veterans that don't fill up a Force Org slot. But what we have here is they're company veterans, so they're non-Primaris. Now, I know they're Primaris models, but I'm going to count them as non-Primaris. Their bases are obviously way too large, but we're going to keep going. And then we have but in one of them we have a combi plasma gun, and the other one has a combi bolt gun, combi melt gun. And then they're just regular Astartes chain swords. And so the whole army, so let me zoom back out. So that's the whole army, 2,000 points. I think it's exactly 2,000 points, is pretty neat for both detachments. And then right around now, there should be a picture of what the proposed color scheme for maybe just the blood claws, and then I may or may not throw a couple of the other pictures for proposed color schemes up on the board or up on the screen. But I plan on going for a brown color scheme. Why did I choose brown? Well, I mostly chose brown just because I have a bunch of armies that are going to be painted blue, and I just didn't want to paint another like sky blue color scheme. And I was thinking about, I was like, well, what other colors are wolves typically? And I looked at some other older Space Wolves, and like you see black Space Wolves, or you see like red Blood Wolves, which are kind of like Chaos Renegade Space Wolves. I didn't want to go that far. And I was like, well, wolves typically during the summer, they don't have brown or gray fur. Sometimes they'll have brownish fur, especially when they're younger. Sometimes they have brownish fur. And so I was like, hey, you know what? We'll do that. So the whole army, including Ragnar and everybody, they're going to have the same kind of brown color scheme. And we're going to throw in accents of lighter earthy tones. And then we're going to throw in some yellows and some reds and some whites for different distincting marking between different squads or different packs, depending on what they are. Now, for the 2 company veterans, the 2 larger showcase models, I do plan on making one of them like a white wolf and one of them a black wolf, and having like one kind of be all white armor with maybe their shoulder pads having like a different hint that shows they are Space Wolves, maybe some sort of pattern on the shoulder pads. But that's kind of how I wanted to distinctive them different from each other on the tabletop, but have them still be Space Wolves. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about there. Yeah, so that's the army. And this took me a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. I've actually worked on this probably about 2 weeks is what this army took me to assemble. And the Assault Intercessors, way longer than I thought. And they have a little bit, I would say they have more pieces than your typical Firstborn Marines, but their mold lines aren't nearly as bad. So that was fine. The aggressors took way longer. I think I took almost 2 whole days to just assemble three aggressors. And that was just a lot of overtime at work, and kind kind of the around the holiday season, you either get a lot of vacation or you get a lot of work and then some vacation, and so it just depends on what your job is. But yeah, and then the blood claws, I did those all as kind of a batch of 20 at once. They took about 3 days to do the blood claws, and the wolf guard took about a day and a half to do the wolf guard. But the this drop pods, the drop pods didn't take significantly that long. I actually built 2 of them this morning, or 2 of them today, but I started really early, and I think it took me about 6-7 hours just to kind of slog through the 2 drop pods. I had done the first drop pod the day prior. I had all started out, and it's mostly just because there's a lot of parts in the drop pods that are exactly the same, and they get extremely boring to assemble. And it's just a lot of panels, a lot of doors, a lot of gluing, and it's not exciting and it's not fun. It's just, yeah, it's not great. But anyways, that is it. We're going to get on to Praetorian Guard next. So back to what I love, which is building more guard armies. But that one's got a lot of infantry and a lot of tanks. So that'll probably be on the next showcase. And yeah, if you like the color scheme, or if you have some hints or some tips on like maybe alternate colors for different shoulder pads, let me know. Have a good one. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I hope it's good. And I should see you before the new year. But if not, if I don't see you before the new year, Happy New Year. And yeah, we're on track to get all of our models assembled before April. So that's the goal, and we'll see if we get to. If you would like to support me, please buy my book, or at minimum, subscribe and hit the like button, and that would be awesome. The link for my novel is in the description below. No obligation, obviously, and it is a science fiction space opera, and I think it's pretty it took a lot of time writing it. Anyways, that is all I got, and have a good one, and goodbye.